Welcome to Truck U. Now, the last time we saw this truck, we were just getting started with our Ram Runner package, and at that time, we were really concentrating on the looks and the suspension. Well, we got the suspension all dialed in. That's ready to go. We came up here and we put these fiberglass fenders on the front. Those look great. We got the bumper all taken care of up here in the front. Now, today, we still have a little bit more to do with all that, but now we want to shift the focus more to the performance, which I know that's going to make you-know-who really happy.
Yeah, we've got that whole Baja look, and it's going to perform like it in terms of suspension, but now we got to give it some power. So what we're going to do is add a new supercharger kit. We're going to put some performance headers on this thing as well as a transmission. So we've got an entire performance package that'll let this thing perform like the real deal.
Now, it all starts with this Vortech Supercharger that we got from RIPP Superchargers. We've worked with these guys in the past, and we love what these little things do to the vehicles. It's a lot of fun. So we got a couple things out of the way, got the mounting bracket ready, and this is ready to start cramming some more air into that engine.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen a Centripetal Supercharger before, from first glance you might think, well, it looks like a turbocharger to me, and it does up front because you've got that compressor housing. The difference is when you look at the back side of it, well, it's driven off of a crank. So you've got a pulley here, and the belt will tie it to the crank, so when you hit the throttle, it spins up this compressor wheel, and that's how you're forcing air into that engine. And this little baby right here is going to give us 425 rear wheel horsepower as well as 450 pounds of torque.
Nice. Well, let's get that mounted and get the other stuff going, dude.
Cool.
This particular supercharger is good for all of the 4th generation 5.7 Ram Hemis, and we're talking about 2009 to 2011, 15, and 2500. Now, it would be nice if it was as simple as just cramming more air into the engine, but the whole supercharging as a process is a tad more complicated than that. You have to compensate for all that additional airflow, and we do that with new injectors. Now, those came with the kit, and we've already installed those, so that's going to add more fuel to the mix. So more air, more fuel equals more horsepower, and that's exactly what we're doing today.
Yeah, like Matt said, there's more to it than just forcing air into the engine. What I'm doing right now is installing the heat exchanger. What you've got is basically you've got some hot air being forced into the engine right now without a way of cooling it down, because as this air is compressed, it creates heat. So what the guys at RIPP Chargers have done is taken things to the whole different level.
Yeah.
In most street-driven applications, what you'll see in terms of an intercooler is an air-to-air intercooler, which essentially looks like a radiator. You've got one inlet and one out, and what you've got is ambient air blowing across the fins to try and cool down that charge. Well, at RIPP Superchargers, they take it to a whole new level with a liquid-to-air intercooler. Now, this is something you'll see like in a lot of racing applications, and what you're doing essentially is taking that same radiator, or a core is what they call it, which is inside here, and you're soaking it with coolant. So you tap into the cooling system of the engine, pump it across those fins, and you can really cool down the charge. So you've got the hot air coming in, the coolant cooling down that air, and you're getting a nice cool charge going into the engine.
And that goes back to what we always talk about. The cooler the air is, the more dense it is, and that results in more horsepower. And that's exactly the name of the game today.
To give you guys an extreme example in the drag racing world, take an engine that's turbocharged or supercharged, and at, let's say, 45 pounds of boost without an intercooler, you can see as much as 400 degrees of air inlet temperature. So with a properly matched intercooler on that same application, you can drop down the temperature to 100 degrees. All right, this will work right here. Cool.
This system is designed to run at 7 pounds of boost. Now, right here on the inlet tube is where this blow-off or this bypass valve is going to mount. Now, think about it. You're driving down the road, you're making all your boost, right? And it's all charged up in this tube, and it's cramming down into the engine. But you get off the throttle now. Basically, what you're doing when you get off the throttle is shutting the door right there. That boost and that pressurized air has no place to go, and if it doesn't blow off, so to speak, it's going to go back into the supercharger, and that could damage the whole thing internally. So you got to have a blow-off valve like this for that excess pressure to get relieved.
Yeah, once we get this charge tube in place, there's one last order of business with our supercharger kit, and that is to put on the filter right here to protect the compressor wheel. Now, this is what you get normally with the kit, but the thing is it's not going to work with our setup because we've got, well, our Ram Runner front suspension on, and you can see the mount right here kind of gets up in the way and you can't make the bend to get in there. But the guys from RIPP Superchargers, man, they got us covered because they told us about it ahead of time. They sent us some new bends, so what we can do is do a little fabrication work. We can get that filter on and all will be good, man. Our supercharger system will be all done.
Yeah, we'll get all this piping taken care of. We'll go to break, and when we come back, we can get up underneath this thing.